Hello, traders. This is Ophir with ForexPlaybook.com. Many of you know me as Forex Playmaker or just the Playmaker. I wanted to try something new here today, and that is to add some video content to the website. Hopefully, make this a regular feature, perhaps even a daily feature, in terms of a discussion on the outlook for the markets in the day or even the weeks ahead. Um, the focus that I had initially anticipated for this discussion was really going to surround the financial markets. It was going to surround really the financial sector, the banking sector, and the trends that we've been seeing recently, and how that has really shaped my rather bearish view on the equities and really on risk in general in recent weeks. Now that bearish view has paid off quite well. Again, that bearish view began while the Dow was still around the 11,000 mark. It has since declined, better than 10% or around 10% from that level anyways. But at this point, the price activity we saw today, the price action really signaled the potential for further appreciation anyways in the days ahead. But instead of focusing on that rather broad topic, some news came out a bit earlier today that really takes precedent here. It concerns BP, and for those of you who thought that the news could not get any worse for this company, you're absolutely incorrect. I mean, it has gotten a lot worse, really, in the last 2 hours alone. Now, many of you will know that I wrote this article just on Monday, yesterday, about BP, the Gulf oil spill tragedy, and finding short value in BP, meaning shorting the company and really finding value there. At the time, the price was $31.35 per share. This, by the way, falls under premium content. And in order to gain access, you can start your 21-day free trial. Well worth the cost of admission here, especially based on the news that came out tonight and the expected move in shares tomorrow. Let's get straight to it then. Really, the two key news releases today for BP. One far less worrisome for BP as a company than the other. And that is that the U.S. has significantly increased its estimate of the spillover or the spill that's occurring in the Gulf. It began as a 5,000 barrel per day estimate, moved to 20 to 40,000 last week, which I discussed in the article, and today goes to 35 to 60,000 barrels per day. Also mentioned in the article was that I expected the estimates to be elevated again, and even from here, I would expect more elevation. I would imagine that we'll find some sort of equilibrium around the 80 to 90,000 barrel per day mark. But again, so this is far less troubling. I mean, it's a horrible development for the U.S. The shoreline in the Gulf and the surrounding areas. It is absolutely tragic. But as far as the outlook for BP as a company is concerned, not quite as important as this next headline. Again, out of Reuters. This is an exclusive from Reuters. Is that Bank of America is limiting the duration of trades, or really its exposure as a counterparty to BP. This is a huge event. This is a market shaking, or really a risk for BP that extends to the point of bankruptcy. The bottom line. B of A is limiting exposure, meaning that it is withdrawing from counterparty risk as far as BP is concerned. This, by the way, has not yet been commented on by B of A, so it is not yet confirmed. And we do need to await confirmation here. But if this holds true, the real problem of this matter is that decisions like these, or events like these, rather, do not occur in a vacuum. They tend to have an avalanche effect, in which case we would expect other counterparties to follow suit. Meaning that other firms, maybe a Goldman, well, let's not say Goldman Sachs, because they do have a relationship with BP. BP has hired Goldman Sachs for an advisory role anyhow on how to deal with the present crisis, perhaps weighing the options available, including the option of bankrupting its American entity. But again, this is a huge event, and one that does carry severe risk for the company going forward. Now we take a look here at BP, and by the way, let's take a look at BP shares. the recommendation on Friday, this report came out while BP shares were down 10%. They were down to 31.35 from a $34 close or somewhere near there. Um, so a good deal of damage had been done that day. And for those of you who have read my writings for some time now, know that I do not sell while things are falling, nor do I buy while things are rising. I tend to fade rallies, and this was no different. I actually shorted BP on Friday. Here's Friday's activity after from Thursday, or this is actually Wednesday, excuse me, from Wednesday at $29, $29 low, the close around 29.20 per share. It then, in a 2-day period, a 2-day span, moved forward upwards of almost 20%, with shares at as high as $34.25 or $34.50. I shorted this stock, this security, somewhere around the $34 mark, a little bit less than $34. And I had planned to write this article on the BP, on this recommendation to short BP that day, but I had not committed to this position until very late in the session. And by commit to the position, I mean established a hedge. In this article, it is not recommended that you short BP without any protection. Instead, you are urged to buy a call option against your short position to protect against upside risk, which does exist. In this case, the total the total risk involved would have been somewhere around $600 per 100 shares traded, including the option itself, for a payoff that well exceeds, at this point, I would say well exceeds 5-6 to 1. But again, going back to this, based on the news out today, I would say, again, specifically the news of B of A and the counterparty withdrawal. I would say that even for those of you who shorted at $31 per share, $31.35 per share, you're definitely going to find the value that I was talking about. Going into the more recession, once this news is confirmed, shares of BP and especially the bond market, BP bonds are going to get a thrashing tomorrow. And as insiders will tell you, the bond market always knows before the equities market, and the bond market has been pricing in severe damage for BP since this whole crisis began, whereas we've seen a rally in stocks in recent days. So anyways, that's what we'll be looking for tomorrow, is just how the price action reacts to this news. Again, in after hours, we're looking at about a $2 decline from the after hours high today. It was trading as high as, I believe, 31.60 or so after hours. Now down to 30.40, give or take. This is Yahoo. It's only so dependable as far as it goes, and it's still after hours trading. But again, it's about a $2 decline. But I would expect going into tomorrow, there's a number of things that might occur. Again, pending confirmation and how other counterparties react to this news. We could see literally the halt of BP shares in trading tomorrow, and afterwards we might see those shares open up drastically lower. I would not rule that out at this point. But anyhow, I'd like to wrap this up here. So what I'd say at this point, I will be issuing an addendum to this article, Gulf Oil Spill Tragedy, Finding Short Value in BP. It will contain new targets. The target for BP has been elevated in terms of the amount of return on our investment that we would expect. In other words, the actual price of BP I would expect to go much lower as a result of this news. So definitely sign up for that free trial. It's free, so there's really no need not to. And I got the feeling that those who already have signed up will be well rewarded by tomorrow. So let's wrap it up here. And again, this is something that we plan to do on a daily or at least near daily basis. So we will talk soon.